So we're definitely on that part of a con weekend on a Sunday afternoon where people are going, oh, it's the back end now, is it? Oh, good Lord. How is everybody? Have you been here for the weekend? Yes. Is there nobody here who's just come for the Sunday? So there's nobody here who's just come to see these two? There's nobody here who's just come to see me? Okay, well in that case, for those who don't know who I am, as a bit of a quick introduction, my name's Leonard Sultana. I run a website called the Convention Collective, and also I do a bit of a live stream about comics and Comic Cons and comic creators. That particular live stream has afforded me to meet and talk to some very cool and interesting people, including people like these two, okay, which I'm going to introduce to you. We were going to be joined by Guy Adams, who I was informed was here, but apparently he's had a family emergency, so unfortunately he wasn't able to make it to the con this year. But we are joined. To my immediate left is Ian Edginton. Round of applause, please, for this gentleman. And I want you to hold that book up, if you wouldn't mind, please. Just hold it up and show everybody.
I was getting this out as a prop for later.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
So because I wanted people to know how chaotic our minds are.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I believe the Douglas Adams quote is "writer's right." And that is a book of absolute notes and absolutely.
Even though people can't see it, I think
no,
it might be worth just.
We will get into it. We'll get into it. KEK-W, everybody, around the applause. Okay. Ashley, I just introduced you by name there because I want you to start things off. Could you please introduce yourself as though you are at a dinner party, meeting somebody for the first time? How do you introduce yourself? As in, hi, I am Ian, I am a what?
Writer.
I say writer, and then they say, what do you write? And I go, comics. And they go, oh, do you draw the pictures? And then I go, no, it's in the word writer.
Do you add a genre in there? As in, what would you say is your genre that you write?
Yeah, I say I write comics.
Comics,
but then I also have to qualify it by saying I've written like audio stuff for Big Finish, and I've written some prose stuff, and I've done script doctoring. So it's more of an overall term than instead of like just comics. And that kind of seems to be more acceptable than like just comics. There's a job for a grown man. So,
that's the other one that.
Yeah. And they go, and they don't seem. I have to break it down. Say essentially it's like a film script, and they go, what's a film script? And you go, dialogue and action. I think you have to break it down because people understand prose, but when you say like comics, it's kind of,
it can fall a little on flat ears because people don't understand what the.
Yeah. Well, you say it's like a play, basically. It's dialogue and direction.
Ooh, now there's a bit of a deep way of approaching it. Yourself, how do you approach certainly those that you just met for the first time? How do you introduce yourself?
I was going to say dinner party. I can't remember the last time I went to a dinner party.
Standing in a chip shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Standing in a chip shop.
Down the pub.
Down the pub. No, I would basically say I'm a writer, and then we go into that loop of, what do you write? All sorts of things, but mainly comics. And then
do you like go into a genre like I'm a fantasy writer, I'm a sci-fi writer?
Sometimes we get that far, but what usually what happens?
People are glazing as the eyes kicks in.
They go. So you draw all the pictures, so I could totally relate, and you go, no, I write the scripts that they do, and that's the point they glaze over or leave. Oh, you don't draw the pictures.
Yeah. So I try and make sure when I say I've done Doctor Who stuff for Big Finish, and then they go, oh, Doctor Who, and then they're on territory that I know.
Yeah.
Does Dredd get the same kind of reaction, or any of the 2000 AD titles, or is Doctor Who a different kind?
Yeah, it's just like regular people know about Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Congratulations, guys! You are no longer regular people.
You are irregular people.
You are irregular people.
And be proud of it.
Absolutely.
Totally.
I want to start also with this quote, which I saw on social media last week before. This is from John Swartzwelder, who is one of the original Simpsons house writers, and he's pretty much been one of those guys that sits around in the background for the Simpsons house team. He is one of those house geniuses which set the tone for writing for the Simpsons, and he came up with this quote which I found was very interesting. So, the only way I know how to write done. It's the only way. Hang on, let's see if I've got the right one. Yeah, it's the only way I know how to write, darn it. But I do have a trick which makes things easy for me. Since writing is very hard and rewriting is comparatively easy and rather fun, I always write my scripts all the way through as fast as I can. The first day, if possible, putting in crap jokes and pattern dialogue. Homer, I don't want you to do that. Then I won't do it. Then the next day, when I get up, the script's been written. It's lousy, but it's a script. The hard work is done. It's like a crappy little elf has snuck into my office and badly done all my work for me, and then left a tip of his crappy hat. All I have to do from then on is fix it. So I've taken a very hard job writing and turned it into an easy one, rewriting overnight. I advise all writers to do the script and do the writing this way, and be sure to send me a small royalty every time you do it. I think that is a great quote, but I now talk to two professional writers from who I am looking at in the eye. What do you think of that quote?
I screamed in a cellar deep in my mind when he said, you know, that's hard, but rewriting is easy. He might be right, but I've never found it that way. I mean, when I've done kind of film stuff, and of course everybody's giving you notes, but you can also get that with comics if you've got a lore master and other people. So you get these endless emails, oh no, change this, change that, and it's like, I feel the life being sucked out of me. So by about the 8th rewrite, I'm kind of going, can I do something else now? Because my brain's shutting down. So it's interesting he finds that the easy.
I think it's more about getting the structure in place and getting
yeah.
the bone, the skeleton
Yeah.
on it. Not necessarily, I mean, the meat's all rotting and it's falling off in places, and it's possibly going a bit mouldy around the toes, but at least then he can go in and kind of fine tune. Ian, any kind of thoughts on it?
When I first started, because there was no school of how to teach you how to do this, so I would literally think, you know, the thing you have to write is the first thing, and it's got to be right, and I would just like labour, and blood would pour out of my ears. And as I've gone on, I've become either kind of like jaded and lazy. And so I kind of like go, say if I'm just doing a script, I've got my outline for the series. It's going to be 12 parts. Each part is roughly broken down into half a page, and then I know that each part is going to be 6 pages. So I kind of break it, and so I've got a fairly good route map. And then I just chuck it all down. I kind of roughly know where I want to go, and I've got placeholder dialogue, and I just kind of get it all in, and then I'll go away, and then I'll come back with a fresh pair of eyes the next day and go, okay.
So basically what he was putting down.
But also there's other things as well when I've kind of sweat bullets and just like worked for a solid week on a script, and then Friday morning gone, that's absolutely shit, throwing it out the window and done a whole new one by Sunday afternoon. And I think sometimes you have to just you have to winkle that one out with a stick, and then to get the other stuff done. I mean, Stephen King said in on writing, which I recommend people read.
Good book.
Read it. He just said you write the first draft with the door open, and then so the noise and influences, and then the second one with the door closed, so you kind of like you're paring it down. And it's what I found as well sometimes is like characters will evolve, that like somebody just a walk on character and I go, I really like them, and then all of a sudden they're buying space in your story because you go, he's a police inspector, and he's got one leg and a gammy eye. You go, I really like him. So you suddenly find you're building up his part, and one of the main characters is just drifting off gently into and so there's things with that as well. But at first I was very kind of anal retentive and like structure, and I am quite a plotist. I do like to know where I'm going, but how I get there, I don't mind meandering kind of thing. But I kind of try and I think if I can lay it all down, and then I'll go in and I'll chip bits off, and it's like carving a sculpture.
Sure.
I'm not trying to be a jade. But it's as long as I've got the bulk of something down there, I feel like I've done something.
Okay.
And then I can go in and even if I've changed 2/3 of it, I've still got something substantial to work with.
Just out of curiosity, what is your day-to-day working process in terms of do you have a dedicated room for writing? Do you have an office? Do you kind of like go, okay, this is my work time. This is, I'm not going to say 9 to 5, but I mean, I know that certainly writers and certainly artists like that structure, because then they can actually have weekend time or family time for other things to kind of also then just take the writing out of the space, and then you can return to it, like you say, with the cobwebs slightly brushed away. Do you have like a dedicated?
I have an office out in the garden, so it's kind of a half of an old garage. So half of it's a utility room, and then I've got the other half. So I've got walls of vinyl in there and cassette tapes and books, and so that's my zone. I go in there, I'm kind of out of the way and just
Bang away.
But I don't have a 9 to 5. It's very fluid.
Right.
I write every day, but not necessarily the thing I'm supposed to be working on.
Yeah.
That resonates.
Yeah. Yourself, Ian?
Yeah, I've the front end of my flat, the lovely south-facing 2 windows. So I've got like where the bit of brickwork is. That's my desk, and I can do this view. And I'm a terrible curtain twitcher. I really am, because it's just it's on a main road. There's loads of big trees. There's family foxes live under the fence, so outside. So you see them on an evening tooting up and down, especially when it's bin night, tooting up and down, and the cats. So I'm there. I'm just constantly looking out the window. But yeah, I mean, my son goes off to school quite early. He has to get a cab to school because he goes to a dyslexia school. So I'm up about 7, and then I'm definitely a lark, not an owl. So by about 2 or 3, I'm kind of flagging. So I'll stop. I'll get stuff ready for the English system, for the tea and things like that. And I'll do other stuff, a bit of admin, cleaning up. I'll kind of catch my second wind about 8 and do a couple of hours, and then I'll just chill. And I can't stay up late these days. I'm just like old fart kind of thing. But I'll still sit and just read and stuff like that. Try and not watch so much telly these days and just kind of catch up on my to be read pile. There's more books that I've got than I have years left in my life. So it's but yeah, otherwise it's just
You're not like Mike Perkins, who I seem to log in on social media at some random 4 o'clock in the morning saying, "Oh, I really should be going to bed at this point." Excuse me.
Yeah.
There's more day. You're more day owls and
It's just like I don't have the constituency for it. I mean, there were times when I was doing stuff, and the deadlines would be ridiculous, and I'd be working through. I'll pull all-nighters and work through. So it's just like the life's too short to kind of do that. But otherwise, yeah, and like other stuff does creep in though. You mentioned you're writing, say, the Scarlet Traces, and you'll have an idea for something else and go, and it won't go away. It'll just, so you have to write that thing. And I have notebooks everywhere. I've got one in my bag. I've got one in the lounge. I've got one in the bathroom. Just because it's like, and I always try and carry something with me, because you never know when you'll hear a line of dialogue or something, or somebody will missay something, and you go, "Ooh, that's really cool." Or you'll hear something completely bizarre, a fact, and you just go, they used orangutans to pilot B-52 bombers in the Second World War, and you go, "Oh, that's an interesting fact." Or
that goes in the file.
Yeah, and you just never know.
When to get some of those
creative mishearings and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're in a cafe and somebody says something.
Mishearings and misspellings as well. And you'll do something, you'll type something, and the spell checker will read it wrong, and you go, "Oh, but that's a really good name."
Yeah.
And use
that's
that.
an alien race or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I'll tell you what then. I'll actually, I've got some notes of what I wanted to ask, but I'll come up to this one then, talking about sort of like the kind of work that you do, and also the episode you were mentioning about breaking stuff down into your arcs of a book, a 12-issue arc, etc. And also you've done long form as well. I mean, certainly you and I are about the same age. I'm not even going to discuss how old you are, sir. You're slightly younger than me, I suspect. But we're about the same age, and I certainly grew up on Doctor Who. I grew up on buying my comics in 2000 AD, Crisis, etc. I am a child of episodic film, episodic storytelling. I don't buy trades. It's not something I like. The idea of taking a break, think about a story, coming back to it in a month's time or whatever. Challenges between them, or which do you prefer, episodic storytelling or that long form, getting a full strand of a story out in one? It's kind of like one block. Which pros and cons?
As a reader, I like both. As a writer, I started out like Ian, doing really detailed breakdowns of 12-parters. Spending a couple weeks on it in the early days because I'd really labour over it. I couldn't see pace and structure in my head. Kind of had to learn that. Only to send it to an editor and go, "No, so you've lost. That's 2 weeks' work. So you're back to the drawing board." So I had to kind of find a way to shrink that down, or do it in stages, modularise it, that sort of thing. So I'm not a huge fan of long form stuff as a writer. I like short bursts, really. I do like doing one-offs. It's kind of more work because you've got to generate more ideas
Sure.
for each thing. So something like a 3 or a 5-parter, I really like that because I can kind of get a run-up and get some momentum into it. But no, I mean, I do 10 and 12 parters, obviously, but I break them down very differently now.
Yeah.
I'd like you, I would say something like, oh, well, what's your 3 acts here?
Yeah.
25%, 50%. Whatever.
Well, when you're talking like the 12 chapter or 12 part stories, then would you say there is an art to the cliffhanger, the kind of thing to kind of then bring that story to that chapter to a close, and then entice people to go for the next chapter?
I think that,
And is it something you've had to learn?
that's why American editors used to come in and poach a lot of English writers, is because like in 2000 AD they could get somebody who could do 12-part story, each part 6 pages, would have a beginning, middle, end cliffhanger on each of the parts, and it's just like how many angels can dance on the head of a pin, basically. So if you can do that amount of work in that short time, make it make sense and engage you, and then you have the next chapter. They want somebody who can do that kind of like fine tooling kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think the longer form one, it gives you too much chance to meander. I like big the 3-arc structure. If you're going to have to go more than that, then okay, have a cliffhanger at the end, but basically keep it so you've got a story that somebody can pick up. And
Would
follow.
you recommend new writers to learn the episodic?
I think so. I mean,
style?
it's learn it, and then if you want to throw it away, fine.
Yeah.
But at least you know it and you have it at the back of.
I mean, I appreciate chapters. I appreciate sort of like beats of a book, but yeah, there's a difference between that and that definite break.
Yeah. I'm definitely I'm not a deep writer. I just basically like to entertain. I just like fun. I grew up on like the Kirby FF and stuff, the reprints in the UK back in the 60s. I'm 63. So all the kids,
Still a band.
thank you. All like the Valiant, Hotspur, all those kind of ones as well. So it all kind of mashes up.
Right.
So I grew up on that, just like wanting a good, fun story when you're a kid. You either go, that was awesome, that was really good. And so that's the kind of thing I want to do. I want to engage people, entertain people. If they want to take something deep away from it, then I probably didn't mean to put it in, but there you go.
Yeah.
And that's just it. I just want people to. It's like you go to watch a good movie, and you know there are plot holes in it, but you just like it's entertaining.
Sure.
And so I try and go beginning, middle, and end. Cliffhanger if you need it, but overall it's just like a nice rounded piece of entertainment.
Understood.
So yeah.
Understood. Something that the pair of you have done is writing established, and I hate this goddamn term, established IP. For yourself.
You say IP, you're amongst
yeah,
friends.
I mean, for
Well,
for yourself,
content.
for yourself, Ian. I mean, War of the Worlds with Scarlet Traces. With yourself, 2000 AD with Dread and Road Trooper. When it comes to writing established IP and those with all that backstory that's already been put in place, is that freeing? Is it liberating, or is it kind of tougher to be that writer that then has to write between the lines, as it were?
I think it can be tougher if you allow it to be. Back in the 90s, when 2000 AD was run by Egmont, I stupidly applied to their European thing to see if I could do some Disney stuff. And they sent me I think it was a 90-page Bible.
Whoa.
You know, just for, can't remember what it was, Scrooge McDuck or something like that. And, and you're reading it, it's a novel of rules, really. And I don't think I never even sent anything back. It was like, it felt too straitjacketed.
Sure.
But,
Did anything like that from like 2000 AD? I mean, do they kind of expect you to know the bones of the character and the bones of the world?
There's a degree of some stuff. Matt will kind of go, oh, you can't do that because
This and this.
Yeah, this has been done or that's been done or whatever. It's like in Fiends at the minute. What I'm trying to convince him is like Constanta gets killed in the 80s, and I want to bring him back. And he goes, no, he got killed in the. I was like, okay, but I'm trying to think of a way. But so there are certain rules, but there is a degree of fluidity in 2000 AD. I mean, I've worked on the Aliens and Predator stuff, Terminator stuff, things for Iron Maiden, and so there are some things where you're literally just playing with somebody else's toys, and you have to obey their rules.
Yeah.
That's true.
And some people, the Iron Maiden guys, Bruce and stuff, are ridiculous. They were really flexible and just go, you just don't make it look stupid, just have fun with it. And then there's other ones that are very corporate and just go, no, you can't do that.
I can imagine Fox and Dark Horse would.
I did after the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, before the second one came out. I was doing 3 graphic novels that were like set between and before, between the 2 and before the first one. And it was all going really swimmingly and things like this. And then Disney just went, and we thought, obviously, if you're doing an animated thing, all the colours, like it's a blue Pantone thing or red, this. But because it was live action, we didn't think it was a bother. The artwork and stuff got turned in. They go, no, these are all the wrong colours. They've got to be, his neckerchief's got to be red Pantone. This and in the end, Dark Horse just went, fuck it, and they just cancelled the whole thing. And I did like 364-page graphic novels that never saw the light of day, all because of corporate the involvement and
hierarchy of suits, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, can't even imagine what Star Wars stuff is like.
It's just, I did some Star Wars stuff, and I did some Star Trek stuff, the early Voyager stuff, the Captain Pike stuff, which they used for Strange New Worlds and that stuff. And the Roddenberry, again, it's quite interesting because you do stuff for them and you don't own anything. So the Roddenberry Archive have taken some of the stuff that Dan Abnett and I wrote for early Voyages involving Captain Pike and Yeoman Colt that were in the original TV show, and they've done an animated thing, a live action thing that kind of links the comic with the movies, with the TV show, and it's just incredibly done. And I've got a thank you book next week. Because it's all work for hire.
Right.
That's the only thing. It's like they made toys from the Terminator comic. They made toys from the Alien comic.
You created a new Terminator.
Yeah.
Not Predator, I should say.
Yeah,
I did
Alien and a Terminator, and they made toys of it, and it's just because it's work for hire. You don't see a thing, which unfortunately, but I mean that's the thing. Sometimes, it depends who you get as well. Because some people in corporate can be really cool and just go, yeah, fine, and other people are really very much by the book and kind of with bean counters. And again, you can understand their point of view as well because it's a huge corporate property, and if something happens and you mess it up, then they're the ones that are going to get it in the neck.
See, this is why I thought the Star Wars Legends should have been brought back, because at least then it was a sandbox which you really could mess around with the toys and really knock the sandcastles over and really have a lot of fun. You mentioned that working with Disraeli. I wanted to ask you about co-writing and the pros and cons of that. Is it something that you've ever considered? Have you co-written before?
I've co-written a feature film with the director, and I found it hard in some ways.
I mean, did you get into writing because of the whole lone wolf? It's my voice, it's my story.
No, I got into writing because I loved writing. It was kind of something I felt I really had to do, like violent impulse or something.
But no, the pros and cons of co-writing.
Yeah, I've written quite a few times with Dan Abnett. So we mainly did the Star Trek stuff. So what we would do, I'd go over to Dan's and we kind of brainstorm like a year's worth of issues. And we'd each probably have a favourite issue. And because it's Marvel style, so it's plot and then script. So what we do, like one of us would plot, one of us would script.
Right.
And so like Dan likes to pace. So I would type and he'd be pacing and stuff. And so we'd go, I want to do this Chekhov story because I've got a really good idea for dialogue. So we'd plot it out. Dan would actually he's really good at breaking down the plot. And then I'd kind of go in and do the dialogue, and then we'd just give it a polish at the end, kind of thing. And that was it. There was nothing really anything contentious. It was kind of, it's like, if there was some note, we both have some notes or whatever. We'd feedback to each other and maybe tweak stuff and go, no, actually, I can live with that. That's fine. And funny enough, not quite co-writing, but Matt Disraeli, I'll send him the script and he'll go, I can actually trim this down to like 3 panels instead of 4, but do you want me to change the dialogue? And he's like, oh, okay. And so, because we know each other so well, I've worked with Matt longer than I've been married and had children. So he's my first wife basically. And so he'll just
Is he aware of this?
he'll kind of give some feedback and he'll just say, we could tweak that, or how about if we do this instead? And it's like, yeah, okay. So on the whole, I think I've been fortunate. I know there can be some people who. I did do a job for Marvel once, and it was a what if. Where it's like, what if they dropped the gamma bomb, used gamma bomb in World War II over Hiroshima and stuff. And the artist actually took the outline, just a one-page outline, off the editor's desk and started drawing it from the outline instead of the script. So by the time I turned the script in, they go, oh, we've actually had all the pages of it. And what he'd done, every other page was a splash page so he could sell it. And so it bore no resemblance to, and I went, and so I had to dialogue around it. I said, can I change my name? Can I be
Alan Smith?
That's exactly what I asked for, yeah. And they said no. And that was just like, it was like in the early days when I was first getting work from Marvel as well. I was like, oh wow, I'm writing the Hulk, and it's a what if, and it's just like,
Unreal.
So you just have to.
Okay. I was going to do a Q&A at the end, but obviously I may not be going into a detail of something that you may want to touch on. I'm very much an avatar for you guys up here, so if there's anything that you're wanting to ask, I might as well ask something now. Is there anything that you want to expand on what we've talked about, or is there anything you want to ask now as a writer, or any writing tips?
I just wanted to ask Ian about Scarlet Traces, because my first interaction with War of the Worlds was the Jeff Wayne album.
I don't think you're on your own on that one.
and how do you feel that maybe your version of that story is the way that is people's way into that work?
Yeah, I can't say just read my thing and nobody else's. Because I think there's a guy I can't remember his name, who's done a new War of the Worlds story that's set like on the Thunderchild, which I want to pick up.
It's brilliant. It's Matt Jones.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because I saw some art. I thought, ooh, what's that? And it's just like that looks really nice.
If you can get the chance to check it out, it's just called. It's the Thunderchild. It was done on Kickstarter, but I believe it's been picked up by Madius. Check it out. It's a stunning piece of work.
But no, it's kind of. It's like I'm glad we did the adaptation, which is because the idea of being with me like since I was a teenager, because I had glandular fever when I was a kid, so I was off school for months and just like read, because it was like the world then was black and white and everything shot on Sundays, so all we had was like books and movies on BBC Two in the afternoon, and so I read that, and then it was just the idea of like what happened to the technology, just that, and that was it, and it just stayed as a kernel for.
Well, it was Sunday. It was a Sunday afternoon regiment for me, listening to that album and looking at the gatefold thing. So it's
So it's just like, and that was the thing. It's just like, and so it's kind of expanded and expanded and expanded. And we've built like a whole timeline. And there is some more coming, but we're going to do some more helium first. But there is some more coming as well. So some people do go. I think they want it to stay Victorian-y and stuff, but it's just like I'm quite interested in like there's this one stone that's gone into the pond, and it's the ripples of how it's changed history and society and like the world. And then worlds in general, because you find out our solar system was occupied, and so it's I like building worlds. Because I'm a pocket megalomaniac, and so it's nice to actually like build my own universe and just so how far can we go with this kind of thing. So it's now slowly turning into Star Trek and Babylon 5. So I've got to be careful. Heading out into space.
Question from over here. Go for it, sir.
Yeah, please. So I wanted to ask about endings, advice on ending stories, because I do a bit of small press writing, and that's the part that I struggle with.
My wife is currently doing a rewatch of Stargate SG-1. Every single episode, the ending's shite. Okay, it's absolutely true. They can't do endings to save their life. Could you give them some pointers, please?
Don't sweat it.
Yeah,
It's okay.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll like start with the concept of the idea, and then I'll go, okay, well, where's the ultimately going to go to? So I do like to have an end point, but half the time I'm just winging it. I think because it's just like okay, because you also as well you don't know, especially if it's a series from 2000 AD, you don't know how long you've got.
No.
Because like Red Seas is like over 1,000 pages of artwork. It's a big thing, and Matt eventually said, "Could you wind it up now? Because it's been going on for 10 years." But yeah, I mean. Sometimes you do have like a finite story, and you can just like Leviathan has got like beginning, middle, and end. It's a finite story, although there are spin-off aspects to it. But yeah, I always just think the thing that keeps you awake at night is you just go, remember Lost, and just go, okay. But they just wandered, because they readily admitted that they had no end game, because they didn't think it would be.
They were filling that pool as people were diving. It was quite insane.
I wonder if they didn't have an idea beyond the pilot. They didn't
Yeah.
expect to get
Yeah.
a series, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, we've got to
Well,
actually come up with a concept.
Because it's
For yourself, I mean, like I say, you were going to use it as a prop. I mean, do you have endings in there, or is it just
I'm remembering something John M. Burns said to me when I was saying about ending things, and he said, "You don't end anything." And I said, "What do you mean, John?" He said, "You're a freelancer. Don't you want more work?" That's always his thing. So he said, always build an escape hatch in, even if your editor doesn't want another series. He said, "I'll talk to him." So the idea of endings, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Some things have a finite length and they're perfect for 3 or 5 or whatever. But other things, you kind of think, you can, like you said, extrapolate your universe
Well,
out, and you suddenly go, well, there's another 3 series just
think-
talking about this. You know?
I think that certainly when it comes to, I don't know if I'm going to put words into your mouth on this one, so bear with me. But maybe it's more the kind of the reading of an ending. I mean, okay, you can talk about the mechanics of having characters and a storyline that can extrapolate beyond the book, but just that kind of final 2-3 pages that just give it a nice little flourish, bang, 10 out of 10. Let's just take the bows and
you can have your character have an ending, but then you can, there's other characters that you can do other stuff with. So if people just want to read that one thing and it's complete and they go fine, and they can go away satisfied. And then if you want to do some more stuff, you can pick up these 2 or 3 characters here and take them on. So
change the emphasis.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
go into secondary.
And also,
character.
I mean, beginnings as well. There's a brilliant line by Jimmy McGovern. He said, "Your audience would rather be confused for the first 10 minutes than bored."
Yeah, it's true.
So, it's like never worry about, like, that doesn't make sense. It's like, yeah, okay, but it gets people hooked and interested, and then gets them to want to keep on reading. So then you keep up the momentum.
This segues nicely into something that I was going to talk about, and it's a word which is going to just put the hackles up of everybody, so we might as well just get out of the way. Or the term is AI. Yay! It's that part of the conversation. Woo! There is a known writer in our Comic Con space, and he's known certainly down south, and he does use AI, but he uses it not so much for the writing as such, but more for the workflow, as in making sure that the characters have completed arcs or workflow. The question I'm going to put, and I wrote down here, is: do you use AI in any part of your workflow, and can it actually serve a positive use in not even just the nuts and bolts of the writing, but just kind of like almost like as a personal assistant?
It's bullshit and it's lazy.
Good man. Okay, fair enough. Excellent stuff. Clap, you bastards! Come on.
You don't need like $500 billion of AI when you've got these. Okay, go into Smith's and for £1 get a load of these. I mean, I'm not doing it at the moment, but I did go through a phase with Dead World and maybe one of the series of The Order, where I would write down key points, turning points or crises or whatever, and I would lay them out on the kitchen floor. I've actually got photos somewhere, and you can do it for multiple characters as well. It's almost like one of those murder boards from the thing. But that works quite well because you can then start seeing stuff. I know it sounds insane, but you don't need a data farm to be doing this, and it might only just be a few words on it. And I mean, there was one, I forget what the series was, so I had all these things, this happens, then we get a big conflict here, and then these characters split and go down different paths. And then I just put one down, and it went, I don't know where it came from, somebody dies. And that's kind of, an AI wouldn't do
evolves
that.
on its own.
It's like, I wouldn't even go in, what do we need? But a bit of my brain says, somebody dies, or big explosion, or they leave the planet or something. So
I think
AI,
I know the person
no.
we're talking about.
Just go to Smith's.
And they did
Go
say to me
Smith's.
a few years ago, they said that he goes, by the end of the year I've made my first $1 million.
We are definitely talking about the same person.
And it's like, and I think he kind of approached me and said, you're a better writer than I am. You could, and I have to admit, I did try running like a pitch idea ad through a thing, just to say, I want to see what it comes up with. And it was just like, this is like, no, there's no way I cannot even remotely associate my name. It's like, I would rather, and then I've been reading a book of Ben Hecht, brilliant screenwriter, journalist, wrote the front page, like what you would call an old school American journo, like cigarette, whiskey and things. He wrote a screenplay for an Oscar-winning movie in 2 weeks, and then he wrote one in 24 hours. And so okay, he better than me, but it just goes to show you just basically have to break a sweat, put your arse in the seat, and do the fucking work.
Do the work.
You can use the machine stuff, and it's going to be fine for a while, but it's just. I know he's just generating cash, which is, and part of me is just thinking, what, Christ, I could really, this at my age, my time in life, I could really do with the money. And part of me is just thinking, what, I could just have a pseudonym, chuck a few things out there, and it's little angel and demon on the shoulder. And I just go, I cannot bring myself to do it. I really can't.
We are definitely talking about the same person.
I think every writer tried it once, and they're lying. Ditto.
I would have
you
to judge
go,
Stephen King looming over me going.
I'm trying. I mean, shy of the money and just getting the. He has basically streamlined his workflow using AI.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much what he says that he does. To then, I'm trying to work out where that. Like you say, that line where he didn't, for most majority of writers, they try it and then they just realise that this, and why.
Write me a 1,000-word story about so and so.
I don't know. He says he doesn't do that, but
this is shit.
Yeah. Okay. So what
doing
then?
That again.
What then are the challenges of being a writer in 2026, and have they changed from when you first started, or have they changed over the years that you've been?
Less publishers.
Yeah.
Post Brexit, post COVID, there's less platforms, less places that will do stuff for you.
Okay.
Things that haven't changed, you still get ripped off. There's still people that are going to burn you or whatever.
Is that where, certainly for a number of comic creators, social media and also specifically crowdfunding has been a big platform, because it's where you're almost creating your own publishing arm, because what you're doing then is doing a direct relationship with your fans. I mean, I know that for yourself, I've
never kickstarted
You use Etsy?
anything myself. I sort of sell junk online.
Oh, right, okay.
Otherwise known as my own books.
Oh, right, okay. I was about to say, is it your writing? Okay.
To fund other stuff.
Right, okay.
So everything feeds back in.
Right.
But I keep it really low scale, low fi.
Right, okay.
I jokingly call it like a pico business. It's so tiny, but it works. It's kind of cash neutral. Nobody's going to get rich out of it, but I really enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, because Hugh Howey's Wool, that became Silo, and The Martian as well, they were self-published.
Yes,
online. They were through Amazon, I think. And then, I've got a bunch of pro stuff that I've written. I've not kind of decided to put anything out with it yet. But I don't know whether I might put it. I've got an agent, but I might don't know to put it under a pseudonym out through Amazon and just see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I actually do have an agent. He's really good, and he's just been nagging as he gets it. Write a bloody book. So that may be the case. But yeah, it's just I don't mean to be a snob, but I just find it's having that ethic. It's just like, if it doesn't cost you something, then it's not worth doing. You know what I mean? It's you have to put the effort. If you don't put the effort in,
put the work in.
So not necessarily the financial cost, but the blood, sweat, and the tears.
Yeah. It's got to mean something to you. It's got to, and I know, there's people like Elmore Leonard and stuff like that who just used to. I mean, were phenomenal. Who got knock books out, and they were quality books. God forbid to write like Elmore Leonard. So there was like an old school of like writer journalist people who could like knock those books out, and they were really good. But then you're getting it now where you can put the books out, but there's not the quality or the consistency, and it's just like,
We're into the final 5 minutes, which is why we are going to go to questions. Go for it.
Okay, you spoke about finishing, but what about starts, pitching in terms of like Dead World, in terms of like Scarlet Traces? Is that like an email conversation, or is that going in, going, Matt, Tharg, sorry, whoever, I've got this idea.
Like knowing, having established like relationship over 2000 AD now, it's a lot easier. It's just kind of like, I'll go to Matt and go, here's like 3 ideas. I always send in 3 ideas because you can hate one, love one, and be ambivalent about one. Going in cold with some publishers, it's just it's hard, a lot harder than it used to be. You know, in the old days, the 80s, 90s, you could like pitch to Marvel, pitch to DC. They used to send editors to conventions like this, and you could sit down and have a chat with them. They would come over and headhunt people, but you know, they don't do that kind of thing anymore. So it's considerably harder. So it's like, you know, pitching to 2000 AD because we're established. It's a lot easier. That's not fair to people who want to pitch cold. So I'm really sorry.
Exactly the same. When I first started out in 2000 AD, it was always a slog to get one idea apart. Now it's kind of like you send something in. I'm not saying he always goes, yeah, okay, but it's generally.
It helps that you're established, of course.
Trust with your editor.
I was really lucky because years ago I pitched a Dread story to 2000 AD, and it was Steve McManus, and it got accepted. It went in the second issue of the Dread magazine. A young artist called Sean Phillips drew it.
Whatever happened to that chap?
Yeah. And then I never got anything else, and I went off and did some work for America and things and so on. And I was working for a company called CrossGen. Good God! Who wanted Mike Perkins worked for them, so he'll talk about it. They basically wanted you to go and move over to Florida and live in their like community and stuff. Yeah. And this was a guy, a very kind of like Republican businessman, friends of Ross Perot, and it all went pear-shaped horrendously. But the thing was, because I'd signed some contracts with them, you couldn't do any other work, so all of a sudden I was out of work. And so I just got in touch with Matt. I'd been talking to Steve Yoll about some ideas, which was Red Seas. I got Scarlet Traces, which Disraeli and I had already done. And I just spoke to Matt at 2000 AD and said, here's a pitch, you can have this. And he went, we'll take that, we'll take that, we'll take that. And I said, can I have a letter to show the bank that, you know, please don't take my house away. And they did, and so basically 2000 AD saved my house. So I was really lucky because I just went, there's all this. And I think because I got an established career, because I'd done other stuff for Dark Horse, the Scarlet Traces was already drawn, they then ran it in the magazine. So I was really kind of lucky with that, and that kind of, I hate to use the phrase, but I hit the ground running kind of thing with 2000 AD and kind of haven't stopped kind of things. But it's just like, I mean, these days, when people ask me, I would say, you know, do your own stuff, build up a body of work, get it online, have a Patreon, you know. I did a talk for some guys some students at Birmingham University, and they said, you know, that they were doing their various degrees of biology or history and whatever, and they said, you know, what should we do? And I said, for a start, if you have a day job, don't give it up, because I used to work in environmental PR, and then I worked for a couple of Royal Societies editing magazines for them, and I wrote as well. And invariably, most of them are just about to finish their degree. I said, you know what, and they're living at home. I said, take your year off, spend that year just to do, you know, research your market. So you find, you know, and spend that year and see if you can, what you can generate, and if you can build up enough steam, then maybe, you know, do it part time. What if you're doing an MA or get a job? I said, but it's, you know, I don't mean to sound jaded old lag, but it's just you can't just do it cold these days, or you very rarely you can do it cold.
No. Okay. Do we have? I think we've got time for one more question.
So I'd like to come back to endings, but it's resolutions. So I'm not thinking about the ongoing story. I'm thinking about the story that you've got in front of you. Quite often I watch something and it feels like the resolution at the end of the episode or at the end of the 12-parter is
weak,
and it means that it means the whole thing is falls flat. And do you sometimes is there a temptation to sort of, you've got this ending and now you've got to cram in some pointers earlier in the story to make it work, or how do you make a believable resolution?
Well, there's the usual old stereotype, isn't there? Of you know, what does your protagonist want? So when you hit the end, did they get it, or did they get something that they didn't want? Is it it's an unsatisfactory achievement at the end, Pyrrhic victory, that sort of thing. But I would also say, you know, endings aren't written in stone. You could be doing a 12-parter, I always leave loads of improvisation room in there. So I may have my destination, like, yeah, the character, he gets the girl at the end and blah, 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 blah. And then you get there and you just go, no, that's really unsatisfactory. You come up with better ideas. So you might have pitched that to your editor, but hopefully your editor trusts you enough.
I wonder whether actually the bad endings are where they've got the fixed ending, they've written the story, actually it would be better for them to change, but they don't.
Yeah.
Or something like
It's,
that.
I like it. So your characters can have a resolution, but there's still stuff hanging on. I mean, I'm going to do a spoiler for Scarlet Traces now, so fingers in ears. At the end of Scarlet Traces, the hero loses, and the bad guys win because facing a huge, overwhelming god. Of course, he's going to lose, and so many people were so pissed off, and I got so much feedback on it. But then, what it did, it actually left enough hangover to be picked up and carry on, and so the story that carries on isn't his story, but he's actually in it. He's the B story then in the follow-on book, and so there's like a degree of resolution, but it's not the resolution you're expecting, but it's a resolution. But then he gets another bite of the cherry kind of thing later on, and so it kind of brings people back in.
I do like the idea of a hero or protagonist that, like I said, dies or they go up against insurmountable odds. Because part of the story is the fact that they are doing it.
Yeah.
It's nice to offer hope,
Well,
especially in the time we're in at the moment.
There's a William Friedkin book called A Million Ways to Die in LA, and there's William Peterson, I can't remember the other guy, and William Peterson is the main character, again, spoilers, sorry, and he goes, have you not watched it?
No, I'm trying to remember who it is. That's going to hurt.
And it goes 2/3 of the way through, and then all of a sudden the hero, main character, gets killed. He just gets, nothing.
William Dafoe.
William Dafoe's the bad guy.
That's,
And it's not even a heroic death or dramatic. He just gets killed, and like the weedy kind of psychic kind of guy, he's the guy who carries on the story. And you just go, what the crap? And it really does, and it really pisses you off at first. And then actually, when you start to go back, you go, that's really a really bold move. And that's that kind of the storytelling. I thought, oh, you can do that then. You can do that.
Flashcard,
Right.
somebody dies.
yeah. We are 1 minute, 2 minutes over, but I want to get these quick fire ones out of the way really quickly to wrap things up. Number one, between the two of you, and I want literally one sentence out of the way, okay? First thing that comes to your head. Character outside of the work you've already done that you would like to write for? Just a character off the top of your head that you'd like to write.
Man thing.
Man thing, nice.
The demon.
Wow.
Oh.
Dude.
too.
Favourite contemporary writing at the moment that's not yours that you'd recommend? What are you reading at the moment? I mean, this is comics, prose, anything.
Yeah,
But I'm on about the writing.
I've been on a Jeff Lemire stint. I've been going through, because I never read Sweet Tooth
Nice.
or anything like that. And so I saw like all the hardcovers somebody was selling on eBay for like something stupid money. So I went, okay. And just that, I went, oh, how come I've never read?
Try Descender. Give that book.
Oh no, I read Descender,
Absolutely.
and
Okay.
the one of that spaceship, Sentient.
Yeah.
G.K. Chesterton.
Oh.
I always thought he was going to be really boring, and when I read it, I was like, wow, this is really good.
Come on then, just one
Sorry,
sentence out of the way then. Piece of work that you've done that you really kind of hammered home on, but you felt deserves more eyeballs on.
The Order.
King of the Wicked.
Press so. Comics or prose?
Yes.
Both. At the same time.
And your whiskey or cocktail of choice?
There's a whiskey called Shovel the Monkey.
Okay.
Cider.
You know where to find them later on. They're going to be at the bar. People, will you please put your hands together? EDGINTON KEK-W. We have more. I think we've got one more panel to go in here today.